Now we need to do a little YouTube thing.
Oh, yeah. Hello, YouTubes.
This is new. We weren't doing nothing over the last 6 months, folks, since season 4 and the kickoff of season 5. We were working on the tubes. The YouTube. Your tubes. Is that how it is? It's
My
on
tubes?
the YouTube. No, that's gross.
Tied my tubes?
No. Stop that. That's disgusting. We're on YouTube.
Yeah, we've been on YouTube all along. We are now dabbling with posting videos? ?
Yeah, some additional content. So go to YouTube, in the search bar, find I'm_listening podcast. Find it with our logo and make sure you click on it and subscribe. We would love to get subscribers. And then one of the only podcasts in the world that's dedicated to the skill of listening can continue to rise up in its popularity, because we believe that if everybody listened just a little bit more, the world would be a better place. Find us, I'm_listening podcast. Click on it and subscribe. What are we doing? Color noise.
Color noise. All right, so we're going to have a re-listen to an older episode back from season 1. Was this the last episode of season 1?
I think this was the closing episode of season 1.
It was probably one of my favorites looking back. It is one that I think I learned the most and also think about the most often, or talk about the most often, in regards to sound and color and waves. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense in my brain.
It was really well received. It was also one of our more technical episodes.
Yeah.
We had to do a lot of research. We utilized a lot of terminology and how sound waves and frequencies and pitch and how all of that is transferred into color and why. And yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, it was the last episode of our first season.
Yeah, it's a great episode, great re-listen. Looking forward to listening to it again.
Yeah, because we reference it often and it was one of our favorites. We're bringing it back.
Cool.
Color noise.
Let's do it.
Hope you enjoy. This is a podcast called I'm Listening. A podcast that we said that we could have 100 different subjects to talk about as we aim for wrapping up this first season of I'm Listening. We decided to tackle likely the largest, most audacious listening category there is. And
it's ridiculous.
It's sound. We're listening to sound.
Yes, we are. Yeah, and we've never really defined what listening is. We've kind of let each episode speak for itself, because listening can mean so many different things, and there are so many different avenues in which to explore that. So let's just kind of categorize that a little bit so we can paint this picture here, right?
Yeah.
We've got listening, like listening to the environment. We talked about trying to understand others, children, restaurants, customer service.
Yep.
We got into that inability to listen, talking with Doug about tinnitus. The unpleasant noises or things that drive us crazy. Airports can be overstimulating, or that me monster that can drive us crazy. And we got into some of that personal stuff too, of expression, right? Of poetry, cover songs, things like that. So we've gone in these different avenues, and today we're going to go crazy. Where are we going?
We're tackling sound, but it's such a big category that we're going to tackle sound by first tackling color. Do you
Color. Okay.
Any questions?
I think I gotta go. From conversations to the natural world to complete silence, so many of us focus on what's next rather than what is happening now. I'm Listening is a podcast that dissects the importance of listening.
I'm Drew Richmond.
And I'm Brant Christofferson.
And this is I'm Listening, a podcast simply about the skill of listening. So you might hear people that turn on this white noise simulator or sound machine at night to help them sleep. Typically, that's white noise. There's purple noise, there's brown noise, there's pink noise, there's violet noise, there's green noise, there's all these different colors that determine different noise. We'll call this sound 1.1, and we're going to tackle color.
Color. I think when we first started talking about white noise, I thought of the TV when the TV's, not on the right channel. I'm talking old school TV. It's just that hissing noise.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of the movie Poltergeist when the little girl goes into the TV to look and there's something in there.
Oh man, if you're in the late 30s, early 40s and older, you probably grew up in a household that had a TV that you had to like click the TV itself, the channels on the TV, or the remote was pretty cryptic in that sense. But at the end of the day, at midnight or whatever, the TV would turn off. Or if, like you said, you were trying to find that channel and the frequency wasn't coming in off of the rabbit ears or off of the antenna, it was this white snowstorm screen, right?
Yeah.
That sound.
White noise.
That was white noise. This is where things get a bit complicated, so we're going to try to make it more complicated. Frequency is how many sound vibrations happen within a second. So if it's a low frequency, there are less vibrations per second. And if it's a high frequency, there are many vibrations per second. We use the term frequency, but it's not measured in frequency. It's measured in hertz.
Hertz.
So frequency are vibrations, but it's measured in hertz.
Correct. So a hertz chart,
Where I rent my car.
yes, is like basically a 0 to 20,000 hertz.
So we've got these vibrations that go from 0 to bajillion million, but there's only a range that we can hear with our ears.
Correct.
So we can hear anywhere from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Anything below 20 is not audible to us.
Correct.
And then anything above 20,000, we can't hear that either.
Yeah, so I think the great example of that is the dog whistle, right? So the dog whistle, we blow a dog whistle, we can't hear it, but the dogs respond to it. It's because the dog whistle hangs out at right around 23 to 54 kilohertz. So that's 23,000 to 50-ish thousand. We can't hear it. It's beyond what we can hear. On the opposite end of that spectrum, when the air conditioner kicks on, that's hanging out at right around 60 hertz.
Cool.
Okay, so it's that lower buzz sound. There are less sound waves per second.
Cool.
Does that make
so
sense?
We've got frequency,
Yeah,
right?
We've
got these waves, these vibrations per second going through the air. And then we've got how slow or fast they go. There's a range of that. And
Correct.
There's only so much of that range we can hear, which is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz.
Correct. Makes sense.
Okay, easy. Perfect.
Passed.
We're done.
Good job. Yeah.
Thanks.
Nope. Now
No?
we've got amplitude.
Amplitude.
Is the strength of those sound waves. We would call it volume. Okay, so that is how loud something is. It's not the sound frequency, it's the strength of that frequency. Okay, so that's amplitude or volume. We measure that in not amplitude or volume, we measure that in decibels.
Decibels.
Okay, so that is how loud something is. Again, there's also a chart. If you have hertz going lengthwise, now you can have decibels perhaps being the loud part, right? The up and down to a certain degree.
The bottom being the softest, which would be, 0?
And the loudest is kind of hangs out there. Think of an airplane taking off, a jet going by, a rocket ship taking off, something to that extent is going to be the loudest. It becomes a pain tolerance for humans.
I like that we measure sound in how painful it is.
We measure volume in pain, right? So
I've got 2 kids. I know exactly what that pain is.
Yeah, exactly. So your quiet home, nobody's there, nobody's barking, nothing is run. Maybe the refrigerator kicks on, maybe this thing kicks on, but there's no air conditioner, that quiet home is about 30 to 40 decibels.
Okay.
So
that's a good range.
So it starts at 0, and most would argue it's almost impossible to get there. You'd literally have to like lock yourself into a 12-foot thick wall, concrete dungeon thing to try to get to 0.
Oh, so, like that room at your house.
Yeah. That's a different podcast. So that's about 30 to 40 decibels.
Okay.
And then the rocket launching is 160, 180 decibels, something to that extent. When you're on your lawnmower, it's 80 to 90 decibels. You know, the loud motorcycle that drives by is 100 to 110 decibels. So now we've got volume, we've got frequency in hertz, we've got this measurement.
So this kind of creates a map for us, right? Sounds are going to fall within frequency and a decibel level. And it's all those sounds together. We can now talk about white noise.
Yeah, exactly. So why did we just spend time? Because if they're going to call it white noise, there's a sight association with that. Yes, the color white is associated with the sound, but it's also a chart. And how that sound actually looks on a chart is where the color comes from.
Okay.
Do you want me to say that again?
So
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I'm looking at a white piece of paper. There it is.
Let's take one small step backwards. Okay, let's get back into hertz. So if you're an orchestra,
yeah,
and you want to get all these instruments tuned together,
okay,
the standard practice is an A. That hertz level is exactly 440.
Okay.
So on this chart, from 20 to 20,000, that like standard sound. So if you have a guitar tuner, it sits at 440 hertz.
Who decided this?
I don't know. But that's what it is. All right. Probably somebody long time ago. But that's what it is. So on this chart, from 20 to 20,000, the orchestra that you're staring at, when they get into tune, they are at 440 hertz on the note of A.
So I just looked it up because that's what I do. And I'm going to drive you nuts with it. So this was as early as 1885, the Music Commission of the Italian government.
Sounds dangerous. Sorry. No, it doesn't. I take that back.
Do not mess with them.
Sorry.
The Illuminati is involved. So they declared that all instruments and orchestras should use a tuning fork that vibrates at 440 hertz.
Okay.
Okay. And that's where that came from. It sounds like different places had different hertz, but they said, okay, tuning fork, 440 hertz. So that brings us into why are there tuning forks and all that stuff. But
there you go.
That's where it came from.
Well, you got the answer. Great job.
Okay.
So now,
yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
So think about that. On the spectrum of 20 to 20,000, there is a single pinpoint at 400, not 439, not 441, 440. That's what it is. But there is a 439 hertz. There is a 438 hertz. There's a 562 hertz. There's this 1,654 hertz. There's a pinpoint of every single measurement all the way through 20,000 and beyond.
We could also call that a pitch, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like 440 hertz is an A.
It's an A. So with that, here's another term. So then you got an octave.
Octave.
Well, what's an octave? Okay. An octave is a doubling of that. Oct, eight notes, you move up. So an octave higher of 440 is 880. It goes higher. It's a higher level, a multitude of 2 for each sound wave. So it goes higher, and it is a higher sound. So it is a higher pitch. So now we got this chart. So we got 440, we've got 880, we've got 1,654, all these things. What's white noise, Brant?
White noise. Well, let's get into... Hey, the setup for this is like the whole episode. So you've just created this chart for us, and you've got decibels and you've got hertz. Okay. And on this chart, and somehow how this chart is laid out, we're going to get to white noise.
Yep.
Well, let's get to the color white first. What is white light? When we think of white, what are we talking about in color?
All of it?
Yeah. When we think of light and color, we're looking at when all of the colors are combined, we get white, which is super weird because I think it'd be
no,
black.
I don't think that's right, because when I was in elementary school and I combined all of the colors, it was like this dark brown.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're right.
We'll be posting some of Drew's artwork.
For the sake of science, I think you're right. So if you take all of the colors in the entire spectrum and you combine them together, you get...
Combine them all together, you get white.
That has nothing to do with sound.
It does. Now, so we take all of the colors of the rainbow and we put them together and it appears as white light, which are all the wavelengths all together equal white. Let's bring this into sound. We're talking white noise. All of the hertz on the spectrum are now set at the same decibel level. And now that is white noise.
White noise.
It's all of the sounds at the same time, just like white light is all of the
every sound of the audible spectrum, all playing at the same level. White noise. White noise.
So when
every
the TV,
sound ever at the same level.
When you couldn't find the frequency, it was all of the.
It was all of the frequencies.
And that's why it was white noise, and that's why it was that snowy screen on your TV.
Yeah, and we could go deeper into this too, because the whole reason that we could watch TV over the airwaves or have broadcast radio or we can broadcast anything is we had to have this theory of all these hertz and frequencies and how to measure them to be able to figure out how to communicate over these waves. Not going to go into it, but white noise played a crucial role in how all of this stuff was measured and all this stuff was built on.
Let me understand that. There's a chart.
There's a chart.
There's a x-axis and a y-axis. On that chart, we're measuring hertz. There's 20 to 20,000. Each number has its own sound and the volume of that sound. And if you pinpoint everything across this chart, every single sound at the same time is white
exactly.
noise. And if I smoothed that chart out, it is a flat line all the way across my chart because everything is hitting it at the same time.
You got it.
Got it.
Cool.
Got it. That concludes our episode.
Okay, now let's take this and relate it back to all of the white noise machines that are out there. All of these things that we use, there's a value there. There's something to this white noise thing that there's an appeal to us.
Yeah, there's a couple of
things. For the three
it's
listeners that are still with us.
I think that's gracious. It's calming. Mm-hmm. It drowns out the highs and lows of everything else that's happening. The car sirens, the dogs barking, the motorcycle going by. It drowns out all of that because it's masking what's happening in your world. Some folks really like a quiet home. Some people can't handle that at all. So like in the work environment, sometimes I listen to music when I'm working. I can drown it out. But I have a really hard time working in a super quiet environment. And I need that background
noise
to like keep me focused on what's going on. What can you work in a perfectly quiet environment?
I put on background noise. There's an app I use that has different noises. And the one that I use is, it's like a cafe restaurant sound. So it's all these conversations and dishes and things going on. And it's all inaudible. I can't pick up on what anyone's saying, but it is this ambient noise in the background that is soothing to me. And I'm sure that's going to look a little different on this spectrum that we're looking at. So, you're talking about white noise and it covering up everything, we use white noise to cover things because it is playing at all of the frequencies at the same level. Going back again to our childhood because we're really old and we go in the 80s and we go to the mall. What is a key feature in that mall that was in almost every mall probably at the center was a fountain, a water fountain, a water feature that had water gently flowing. The sound of a waterfall emulates white noise. I can't say a waterfall is exactly white noise, but it is very much like that, where it is hitting so many of those different frequencies. It is masking all the other sounds going on in the mall. It makes it feel a little more calming, a little less chaotic.
Yeah, so this goes back to what like we were talking about in a couple of our previous podcasts about going out into nature and the stream, or listening to water in other capacities. If you want to talk about water or waterfalls, the closest thing to that actually falls into the realm of pink noise.
Pink noise.
There's more colors.
There's more. Sorry.
I just figured out
You
white.
weren't ready. All right, so let's go there. So pink noise, it falls on a chart,
Okay.
right? So you can visually see it as you would look at that chart, where white noise is flat across the top in a straight horizontal line. Pink noise actually is a relatively downward line. Not real sharp. It's relatively downward. Again, we were talking about those octaves before. They start to double.
Okay.
So what you're going to get are these deeper tones, because you're going to have more in the lower hertz on that chart, creating those deeper tones.
Okay.
As it falls away, you are still going to get the higher tones, but there's a little bit of a rumble behind it.
Yeah.
So it is most like a waterfall, where you hear the high splashes of the water, but there's this deeper undertone of the volume of the water that creates that balance between these deeper tones and these higher tones.
So we've taken this white noise level that's kind of a flat, straight level across, and we've tipped it based on the octaves. So it is kind of balanced out the energy. Yeah, so it's a downward. I'm holding up my arms, making a downward slope, thinking this is an audio format.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing a lot of hand gestures during this podcast. But yeah, so that's pink noise. So pink noise can actually be a little bit more soothing than white noise, because white noise is just hitting at this horizontal line. You get a little bit different tones. You get a little bit different sound coming out of it, and it creates a little bit more of a balance. I could sit and listen to a waterfall forever, because it's got deep variation with that higher variation of sound as well. So it's kind of that contrast a little bit.
So if I'm going to choose to listen to one or the other, it sounds like pink noise. Why am I choosing? It's more calming?
It can be for some people, for sure.
For some people. Okay, so it's more, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more personal choice. Brant, it's time for a quiz. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Why is it called pink noise?
It has to do with the spectral power density compared with white noise, which decreases by 3.01 decibels per octave. That's from Wikipedia, by the way. I had to figure out what you're talking about.
I think you're right and wrong. I think you're right. Yeah, ding, 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 ding.
It's because of Sir Edmund Pinkerton from 1885 in the Italian music paparazzi.
You nailed it.
Okay.
You got it.
I'm good at this.
No, Brant, it's because the way that chart, just like white noise, goes all the way across and creates all of the sounds, the way that chart is angled down reflects what pink looks like on that chart.
Oh, so it relates back to the color. There's correlation between the color of light, just like the white light, and okay. Love it.
And the spectrum of color on the same chart, just like white is all of the colors. Pink noise is some of those colors, whatever that combination is that makes up the color.
Okay. So we've taken this white light curve, we've tipped it so by the octave range, it's on a slope. So we've taken white, we've gone to a slope. Can we make that slope steeper? Can we keep tipping that slope and making it steeper? What happens next?
Sure enough can. The question is, can we tip this even further?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. You can tip this you can create whatever you want out of this and create. This is how we get all of these different sounds or noises that have a color attached to them. So if you take that pink scale and what that chart looks like, which is kind of this downward slope, and you make that a little bit sharper, you get to brown noise.
Brown noise.
Pink noise, you have these deeper tones and these higher tones. So you think of a waterfall where you can hear the deep rumble, but also hear the light splashing. Brown noise is more equal. Okay. Even though it's a downward, it's not as high frequency as white noise. It's a little bit lower. This is going to give you your softer rain, where you don't necessarily hear the highs and lows. It's a very similar pitch, but it is a little bit softer. Okay. It's a little bit softer. You're not going to get the lows and the highs. You're going to get this nice, medium, soft rain on the roof.
Got it.
Sound.
So is that more calming or less? It's just different. We're turning those highs down. We're turning those highs down and the lows up. So we're getting a different sound.
So now let's take that brown sound and let's turn it opposite. So where it's the exact same downward slope, but now we have the exact same.
So it's going up.
Upward.
Yep.
Now we're going up.
Which is going to be a different color.
Violet.
Violet noise.
Violet, you're turning violet. Violet noise is also known as I'm going to try that word again. Differentiated white noise. Okay. This, if you listen to our past episode when we were talking about tinnitus and talking about trying to mask that, listening to pink noise with the deeper tones and these variations in sound isn't going to offset this higher pitched tinnitus that is that perception of sound that your brain is producing. So you need a little bit higher frequency. You need something that's a little bit higher, which is why this is now sloping up, because it needs to be a little bit higher pitched. Okay.
So our lows aren't really there, but we're getting a lot of the high pitch.
Correct. But you have a consistent sound. So you don't necessarily have all these variables, and it can help.
Yeah.
It can help offset the symptoms of tinnitus. And it's called violet.
Because it's masking because tinnitus is when we hear that a higher frequency, and this helps mask it.
Correct. Helps offset that sound. And again, everybody's tinnitus is a little bit different, but this is the most common color of noise that can help with that. And it's called violet, and it will line up with the color spectrum of violet.
So we hit a couple of these colors. There are many other angles we could take on this, so there's probably a lot of other colors we could get into, but the colors that you just covered really kind of demonstrate how the spectrum can be shifted or tipped based on a color spectrum, and we get different sounds that can influence us in different ways.
Correct. Now, what we talked about was a lot of hertz, a lot of frequency. We didn't really get into the decibels a lot. Remember, the decibels is going to be that amplitude of sound. So some people need a real quiet white noise at night, just a little rumble of white noise. Some people might need it to be a lot louder, and that's where they would increase the decibels. And remember, your quiet home is about 30 to 40. So you don't need a whole lot. You don't need to crank out this white noise at 75 or 80 decibels to have it mask out sound. It can still be pretty quiet. It can be in that quieter range in terms of the amplitude of that sound.
If I wanted to use the sound to mask sounds.
Yeah. For example, like general traffic is right around 70 decibels. Well, you don't necessarily need 80 decibels of white noise to drown out the traffic, but you might want 40 to 60 to help kind of even it out a little bit as you're hearing the traffic.
It masks it, I guess.
It masks it. Exactly. What's your takeaway on this episode, Brant? Where do we land on this? What did you learn?
It's interesting to think about sound on a map, we kind of graphed this out by hertz and decibels, it makes me just kind of have a different perception on what I'm listening to or what I'm hearing and what effect it has on me. I want to try different noises from white noise to pink noise to brown noise as background sound to see what that might do. Yeah. How about you?
Besides just the general learning of why, I think that was a big one for me of like, okay, white noise, neat. Okay, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. And pink noise, et cetera, et cetera. I think that its accessibility to us is all, you don't have to have a prescription for this, right? You don't have to go see, you can go see a doctor.
You can.
But you could also just hop on the internet and go, I like that sound, or I don't like that sound, and kind of dial in the color of sound to help you. There are some studies that you can overstimulate yourself with these calming noises, as much as that's weird to say. You can have too much of a good thing, shockingly enough. You do need to use it in moderation, but when used correctly, it can be very calming and help you relax and help you concentrate. I learned a lot. It's fascinating. We probably completely botched the explanations, but we did the best we could, and that's okay.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure.
So if you're an audio technician or a music theory person or a physicist or something, give us a call and maybe we'll have you on a follow-up podcast.
Yeah. And we can have a correction update to everything we just totally annihilated on this. But fascinating. And I want people to I want the world to be a better place, and I think this is one avenue that can help.
I think it's fascinating to think about this, and I think that's just kind of what you and I are doing, is exploring this and hopefully getting other folks curious about listening as well in this realm. It's curious. It's fascinating.
This is the last episode of what we're calling Season 1. This is Episode 12. And can we take just a couple minutes just to kind of recap the season and just walk through that? And then maybe let's talk about what's in store next season, not too far down the road.
Going through the season for me has allowed me to open up my awareness to different things in my life and how I interact with them. And it's been fascinating to go through some of these things, from the me monster to why I ignore everything in airports. We've got so much more to go with this in our upcoming season. There are so many things we have not touched on or even talked about, and we've got many different directions we can go, and I'm excited to go into that. We haven't even looked into like listening to my body or some high stakes communication situations that maybe need some more exploring.
We started this because we value the skill of listening. And if people listened just a little bit more, we talk about how they think about, people aren't listening. They're thinking about the next thing to say. But if they actually took a step back and just listened, the world would be a better place. And that's why we do this, right? That's why that we're trying to have this impact in the world.
Yeah.
If I look back on our episodes, we kicked off this whole thing talking to Angie about customer service. Does that change the world in one fell swoop? Maybe for one person, maybe there's a customer service person that's like, thank God. Right. But in the realm of customer service, we probably did not alter the trajectory of humankind. But it was one little aspect of listening and how it can have an impact, and how you can create these situations where customer service becomes a positive experience, not always a negative experience. That was one aspect of how we can help. Then we went into, we talked about the restaurant industry and how they function, and how the back of the house, the front of the house, that customer interaction. I learned a ton. Is that every restaurant? But maybe there's some folks in the restaurant industry that listened to that and went, oh, well, that's a totally different way. I never even thought about that. So maybe we'll incorporate some of that of how we interact with customers. And on the same side, the customer maybe is like, oh, well, I don't always need to be a jerk at every restaurant experience, right? I don't need to be looking for the things they do wrong or have this super high expectation all of the time. Maybe I can adjust how I listen and how I interact at a restaurant. We talked about interacting with children. We talked about 36 questions, this concept of these questions that were created by professors in the 90s and the impact that they have on other people. maybe be the predictor of love. But what does that require? It requires listening. It's been amazing. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a ton, which was also part of this, as an opportunity to be creative and just have a different way to have an effect on people. And for all of those listening out there to this podcast, thank you for being a part of season 1. Brant and I are very, very excited for season 2. It is not that far off, but we just need to get back to what are these next episodes? What are these next topics that we can help change the world just a little bit?
Yep. We'll be hard at work the next umpteen months cooking up some new episodes. So stay tuned and we'll hopefully be out there again soon.
In the description of this podcast, you will find more information and a list of any of the sources that we used.
This podcast is created and produced by Drew Richmond and Brant Christofferson. Editing by me, and the I'm Listening theme music by Drew.
That's me.
That's you.
Brant, I will talk to you later, my friend.
We'll see you next time.
Yeehaw.
Have a good one, Drew.
Bye, Brant.